The Oklahoma Sooners offense took a big step in their win over the Tennessee Volunteers.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome to Locked On Sooners, and thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase over at Game Time. He's Jay Smith of Unfair Sports. Go check out his channel, Unfair Sports, over on YouTube. You can follow me at John9Williams and read my work covering the Sooners at SoonersWire.com. On today's show, we're going to talk about the Oklahoma Sooners secondary. Is it still a cause for concern after the game against Tennessee? The defensive line showing up. We'll talk about that in the second segment and their response to R. Mason Thomas going out with the injury. But let's start here, Jay, because it was a tale of two halves for the Oklahoma Sooners. The offense didn't really do a whole lot, did just enough in the first half to push Oklahoma into kicking range for Tate Sandell, which you don't got to get too far beyond the 50 for that to be his range. But they really stepped up in the second half and went and won that football game. So we got to ask the question, have they taken a step in the right direction?
It does feel like we've realized what's going to work for this team going forward. Running the ball, or is it RTDB, as everybody would say? That's what we finally started doing. You got that to start. And it does look like John Mateer has gotten his confidence back, not in throwing the ball, but in that knee that Brent Venables mentioned on the coach's show on Sunday night. He's actually got confidence in that knee, and now he's starting to actually run like John Mateer. This looked like the John Mateer of the Michigan game. This offensive play set looked like the John Mateer of the Michigan game. And because it looked like that version of him, I expect not only Ben Arbuckle, not only the offensive staff, but Brent Venables as well, chewing into John Mateer that you got 3 games. It is time to up your production, up your leadership, because if you accelerate and you continue to move past all kinds of, I guess you could say, the pillars of the lines or the ceilings that has been placed upon you, if you start breaking through all of that, this team can go so far because of it. There's a chance you can go 3-0 based upon the way you played last week. Bama's going to be a challenge. They've got the talent. There are also rankings that don't look that good, and the way they played against some of the teams we played against, not that great. You have a chance. So, in that point, John, Mateer's probably hearing an earful all week this week and all week next week that it is your time. If you're healthy, if you're feeling it, you're confident that knee's not going to bother you, or you're not nervous about pressing too hard on it and it giving out. It's time, bro. Up them numbers, them rookie numbers. Up them numbers.
Yeah, it's time to kind of take that game to another level. You're down the home stretch. You have 3 games to put yourself in the college football playoff discussion. You have hopefully more games beyond that, but go win against Alabama and you have everything out in front of you. You lose that game and things are a little bit more dicey as far as your postseason aspirations are concerned. But I think he can take this, and Ben Arbuckle can take this, and they can build on it, because what I liked what they did in the second half is they tried to get the ball out quick with quick drops, release, short passes, quick game, and it was effective in keeping the ball moving as an extension of the running game. They didn't throw the ball down the field a ton. They didn't throw it to the intermediate areas a ton. Again, a well-managed football game. Didn't have to do a whole lot going down the field. At some point, you're going to have to, because teams will continue to press into the box and take away the short stuff, take away the run game. You're going to have to challenge some folks down the field to win some games, and you're going to play 3 defenses that are better than Tennessee's coming up. But this is a good building block game for the final stretch of the season. Add on to what you did in the second half, moving the pocket, and getting John Mateer moving, throwing the football. And again, as you mentioned, man, the run aspects of this were really, really impressive. From the scrambling, I think the scrambling to me was where I saw him take a step, because he looked more decisive when he decided to scramble. There was one maybe a little bit late in the fourth quarter where I thought he tried to scramble too early. He just had it decided in his mind. And I've done the same thing on College Football 25, where I get the ball, I'm like, hey, I'm going. And it's not there. You just kind of have to wait for things to develop a little bit, wait for a hole to open up before you go and scramble. But a much more decisive game from John Mateer. Still has to hone in on some of the mechanics and some of the fundamentals, but hopefully over the bye week, he and his receivers can get back together and throw a little bit more and get on a better page, and everybody can take a step. I mean, the offense is trending in a really positive direction. John Mateer is part of that, but the run game, I think, is the biggest part of that. And the Xavier Robinson experience has been fantastic, and everybody is just thriving when Ben Arbuckle decides, hey, listen, we're going to feature the running game.
Yeah, and to add to that, you made a great point there with the college football reference. I mean, when you play the game, the one thing that a lot of us, all gamers, I've noticed, and anybody I've ever watched it, you call a QB draw, and you don't wait until the draw opens up. You just immediately run and fail to realize that that's how the draw works, is you stop, make it look like you're going to throw, then you run. And in some of those cases, you saw that with John Mateer, that he did at the end. He got a little antsy and decided to run a little earlier instead of stepping back in the pocket to where his line could continue to block. As soon as he ran, immediately run up into the pocket before they actually swarm around and create the pocket. It made it easy for the defense to get there. So there was those scenarios. I did see a couple of that as well. But the other thing, and the thing that's being recognized, and as you pointed that out, is John's starting to learn too. He ain't got to carry the whole load. Hand the ball to Xavier Robinson, hand the ball to Torrey. But we didn't get Torrey in this game, but I think that you should feature both Torrey and X-Rob based upon what the defense gives you. Like, I truly believe in this next game, with Bama ranked, I think it's 82nd in run defense. If you go out there and you play your game, and this line continues to be as nasty as they are, especially with EPL being a lunatic headbutting everybody, you can maybe have two dudes run 400 yards. Like, it's going to be tough for Bama to stop this. They struggled on it last year. I think they struggle again on it this year. Run down their throat and keep pushing on it. You're built for that, right? You're going to need to feature both of those backs. And then John Mateer, truth be told, he may be able to add an additional component where he gets some really big runs because they're so focused on stopping the running backs. You want to be able to do all of that in this game. And I just want John to understand he doesn't have to do all of it, but he needs to be the leader and the catalyst that makes a lot of this, make this engine go. He needs to be that spark plug that makes the explosion happen on offense. And he can do that in tandem with everybody else on the team.
Yeah, so Alabama ranks number 73 in run defense.
There you go.
They allow 4.5 yards per carry. This offensive line is better than last year's offensive line. Your quarterback situation is better than last year's quarterback situation. And you still got Xavier Robinson running the football. Add to that a Torrey Blaylock, and you've got a dynamic run game. And again, a healthier and improved offense from what we saw a year ago. That gives you an opportunity to go play ball control offense, keep Ty Simpson and that trio of wide receivers on the sideline, and let your defense go win a football game. Play complementary football. You've got the offense that allows the defense to actually play their game. Get up, get a lead, and then take it from there. But yeah, the offensive line evolution, I think, is a key aspect of this. The insertion of Ryan Fodje into the starting lineup, Michael Fasusi's development throughout the season. Again, you're going to have good and bad with those guys. Same with Eddie Pierre-Louis. But with what they bring physically and athletically, you live with some of the down moments because the highs are pretty impressive. And the upside for that group, that trio in particular, is so high. You just continue to develop them and work with them and keep growing their abilities and growing their confidence as they go.
Yeah, you got to keep instilling in that in them. You got to keep reminding them, you're good, right? You got to keep giving them the confidence to where they know that they're making an impact even if they're not making the play. To me, that's kind of where you're starting to see all around leadership. And I think that's definitely a great thing to talk about in the next segment.
Yeah. And we will. And just last thing on the offensive line, I think there was just one kind of procedural penalty on the offensive line, like one false start maybe. And it was on Ryan Fodje again, in a incredibly hostile environment. Really impressive work. Really impressive.
Hard stuff to do, man. Hard stuff to do.
All right. We're going to talk about the defensive line and how they really stepped up and played a great game with that competitive depth that they've got. Take a drink. After R. Mason Thomas went down, we'll discuss coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or you want to ride on that hot hand, FanDuel has live bets and everything from who scores next, as well as fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into single game parlays for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. So right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head over to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your first game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Once again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. When R. Mason Thomas started limping on his touchdown return, I think everybody took a collective sigh or a deep breath, or we were all gasping a little bit because that dude is so dynamic and so good. But Jay, the rest of that defensive line played such a great game against Tennessee that it was incredible to see that you could go without R. Mason Thomas for 3.5 quarters and the defense can still get pressure. They can still stop the run, and they were still really, really, really tough to beat.
Yeah, a lot of people fail to realize that this defense was still getting out there and causing issues when R. Mason even went out the game. I mean, he came out right after he ran that in for a touchdown. And so, of course, a lot of us were a little stressed out about it. Like, okay, will we be able to continue to do what we need to do in this game? And sure enough, John, we had 26 pressures total in this game. Taylor Wein had 7. Is what PFF gave him credit for.
Just nuts.
I saw, was it the PFSN? I think it's the one of the other football efficiency sites. They had Oklahoma as the highest graded defensive line last week at like a 95 grade. They were out there abusing and causing issues. It's funny because, and I've said this before, I'm gonna keep reminding y'all of how everybody else is seeing this too. So I think Sooner fans, you need to show appreciation for what you got, or at least be happy that you have this. I'm sitting there watching this game. Remember, I'm at Neyland. I am in interview territory. Most of the area is Tennessee fans, but I'm close to the parents. So I'm seeing where all the Sooner, Crimson and everything is. But I've heard 3 or 4 guys behind me or around me say, how in the bleep are they getting pressure with just 4 players? Our line sucks. We're terrible. This doesn't make any sense. Why are they getting pressure with only 4 guys? That tells you everything you need to know, because that line's not bad. Their offensive line is not bad. Lance Hurd was pretty solid on that left side. Same thing with true freshman David Sanders Jr., but he's a true freshman and he showed it in some moments. But he was placed in an impossible task. He was trying to hold on to these dudes. I mean, Danny Okoye comes in when R. Mason comes out. He gets himself a sack in the game, right? It was a beautiful one, too. He got some great pressure on Joey Aguilar, put him to the ground. Again, Taylor Wein had 7 total pressures. He had a hit and 6 hurries. He was in that dude's face as well. He didn't get to finish with a sack. It's because they were paying attention to him. Marvin Jones Jr. walked in there and was getting pressures as well, getting some hits in there. We finished the game only 3 sacks, but we put, I think it's like 3 hits and 19 hurries. Like, Joey was uncomfortable, John, and that is what you want. And that's the thing that as much as we gave up the yards we did, a lot of it was rush, get rid of the ball as fast as possible, because they knew if you sit for too long, one or two things was going to happen. He's going to get super pressured, He's going to throw a pass that gets going to get intercepted. We did that twice. Or he's going to get sacked. It's crazy just how great they performed and stepped up when R. Mason came out.
Yeah, 4 sacks, 8 tackles for loss. Now, a couple of those sacks go to Owen Heineke and Kip Lewis, but the way the front 7 works, it all works in concert. You know, the linebackers feed off of the defensive line, line feed off the linebackers. It all works together. Tennessee had to work for every yard out there. You know, one of the touchdowns comes after missed tackles. It was nothing that was easy for that group after maybe the first drive. And even then, I don't even necessarily think it was easy. They had to grind and get several third downs in the first half to keep the ball moving down the field. Oklahoma's defense played really, really well. Joey Aguilar was pressured on 34% of his dropbacks. So
That's
1 out of every 3 dropbacks, he was under pressure. And it looked like it too. And he wasn't comfortable. Even though he was making good throws and for the most part made good decisions with the ball, 3 times he probably should have ate the ball as opposed to just throwing it up for grabs, because Robert Spears-Jennings almost came up with another interception on a diving play down the middle of the field that there was no Tennessee Volunteer in sight. Oklahoma had him really uncomfortable.
They did.
And that's what gives them the opportunity to win big games, because if you can affect the quarterback, it doesn't matter what kind of weapons you have on the outside.
It does,
because you can create turnovers just through pressure. Even if you're not getting to the quarterback, you're just getting pressure. And even if you're not getting pressure on a given play, the pressure is affecting the quarterback because he knows it's coming eventually. So you can eliminate some of the opportunities because you're creating so much pressure. And yeah, Taylor Wein, that guy, man, you know, he's living up to every expectation that R. Mason Thomas put on him at SEC Media Days. We were there. Somebody asked him, who is going to be the breakout defensive end this year? And he said Taylor Wein without hesitation. He said 5.5 sacks are coming for that guy. He's going to have a great year. And he's living up to it. Like, he's a guy with his development and his performance. I'm not nearly as concerned about R. Mason Thomas and Marvin Jones Jr. going off to the NFL next year. They're like, oh, we still got Taylor Wein coming back.
Add him, Daniel Collier, PJ Adebawore, who did some nice tackles for loss in this game. Like,
he was really good.
Some good. Yep. He was doing good. You've got a really solid set of edges. Now all you got to do is get Nigel Smith going, get Wyatt Gilmore going. So you got a couple of those, and then you're going to bring in some players. And Jake Creel, he's probably going to fight as a true freshman to get on the field too.
Yep.
You've got a good lineup of depth, competitive depth with all of them.
Yeah, and even at defensive tackle, with Grayson Halton and Dominic Williams will be gone, but you've got Jaden Jackson and David Stone. David Stone is playing really good ball. I don't care about the personal foul penalty. It's unlucky to me because you're going up trying to, bat a ball down and you just come in contact with the head. It is what it is. It sucks. It is what it is, but he's playing football and he's trying to knock a pass down. He'll learn from that and he'll grow. But then you got Trent Wilson coming up behind him. We've already seen what Marcus Strong can do in some limited snaps. So like the defensive line depth is great now, and it's going to continue to be great because they just continue to recruit well and develop well. But to see the level of care and passion and energy, and to see them take their game to the next level when R. Mason Thomas went out the game, I think so much gets put on moment to moment decisions or moment to moment plays when we kind of overanalyze some of these games. But you look at the way that Oklahoma plays football, and this is what you brought Brent Venables in to do: build a team, a culture that plays with passion and energy and fight. And they fight for everything from the first snap to the last snap. They give everything they've got for the Oklahoma Sooners. And Brent Venables talked about it in the postgame, having pride in that name that goes across the chest. And you can tell that this team does, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But you can even see it as the offense continues to develop, that they're putting a lot of pride in what they do as well.
Yeah, they love each other. You can tell. They're playing for each other. They play for the purpose of not only the name on the front, but the souls that actually embody what Oklahoma football is. I have an appreciation for that, and you can tell that they fight for each other. Like those two losses we got this season, you could have easily seen this team implode. You could have seen this team easily quit. And honestly, that is where Brent Venables comes into play. As hard as it is in today's era of college football civilization to be able to create just that type of culture, it's tough. Ask any other school or team that you've seen or seen other fans root for. The struggle is real in trying to get people to actually buy in. You see players quit on coaches all the time. And even when things were just completely tough and just awful, you still saw these dudes rally around each other, try to get wins. Heck, you saw them rally and get rally with each other and get the win against Alabama. And that got the team bowl eligible. And you're like, okay, so we're seeing something. This one here, it feels like now we're slowly taking that trend up, John. We're accelerating. And the biggest question for me is here, what more do we really need to get good at to keep going forward?
Yeah, there's a lot to like about this team. There's ways for them to continue to improve. Let's talk about the Oklahoma secondary coming up next. And today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. Game Time is a great place to go and get last-minute tickets and the lowest prices on everything that you're looking for, from college football tickets to concert tickets. Everything's out there for you. There's the energy in the stands, but let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. But that's why we use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. The app is super simple. You can even see what your exact view is going to look like from your seat before buying. Honestly, it's the fastest, easiest, and cheapest way, and it's less stressful than any other way that I've bought tickets before. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go download Game Time today. Once again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So, Joey Aguilar has a really big yardage day against the Oklahoma Sooners. Throws for 396 yards, throws for a couple touchdowns, has some big plays, has some big moments, was kind of efficient for the most part, but did have a couple of interceptions. So I think it has people wondering about this secondary because you give up so much passing yardage. You had some big plays given up against Ole Miss the week before. How concerned are you about the Oklahoma Sooners secondary moving forward?
I ain't got no concerns. We faced the two best passing offenses we're going to face for the rest of the season. Alabama will be the third best, so there will be a challenge there, guaranteed. But going to Missouri, LSU, things should get a little bit easier in that capacity just because of how their situations are going right now. But we just went up against two really good offensive geniuses. And honestly, you could throw Sark in there when it comes to, scheming up an offense. This secondary made it really hard to do that. No matter what you do, no matter how good your defense is, when you're going up against really good quarterback play, you're going to run into some challenges. And what we did is we forced Tennessee to be a one-dimensional team, a team that they don't like being, which is a team that only passes. Now, granted, you wouldn't think that, especially with Josh Heupel being a tempo guy. No, he likes to he is an established the run dude. He is a run the D-ball guy. That is his offense. That's how it's always been. We only gave up 63 yards of rushing to Tennessee. That is the lowest in like 4 or 5 years or longer than that. Tennessee always runs the ball. That's what you want. So when it comes to the pass game, you're dealing with elite wide receiver play. Like Alabama's going to be a challenge. Now, last year, we made it hell for Jalen Milroe and all those wide receivers, Ryan Williams. They had a challenge. Ty Simpson is more of a quote-unquote statue type quarterback. He's going to stand in the pocket, tall and strong, and he's going to launch it. So for us, it's all about doing what we did to Joey Aguilar and putting that pressure on that boy. If we keep him pressured, it's going to be tough. Now, the last thing, though, I wanted to point out, and I think that this is something fans don't get, John. I think this is what the one thing they miss out of how this is set up. Some plays are set by design. Some situations are set by design to give up. Sometimes those underneaths are given up on purpose. Don't get dusted deep. Give them the shorter one and make the tackle in space. Now, some of those plays we didn't. That 54-yard touchdown, we did not tackle in space like we were supposed to. That's on our team trying to get a big hit instead of grabbing those ankles and pulling them to the ground, especially when you're dealing with dudes that are just very talented. Cortland Guillory's going to learn from that as a true freshman. He'll grow from it. But that dude was Chris Brazel was out there getting 100-yard and touchdowns on just about everybody he's playing up against. 63 yards, 6 catches. He was not as big a factor as he normally would. They didn't have a single receiver over 100 yards receiving in that game. That tells you something. They had to spread it around. He had to get rid of the ball fast. They were putting in players they ain't played before because they tried to find a way to trick us.
Yeah.
And that dude dropped the pass, hit him right in the back of the head.
Right in the face,
and just fell.
Yeah.
And on him, it was, what was that, Taylor Wein coming off the edge super strong to where he had to redirect his route. So he wasn't in the spot where he thought he was going to be. And as soon as he turned, the ball was already there. He was waiting for it to be there a second later because he wasn't at that spot yet. We did that. We disrupted that offense. So to my point here, my whole purpose of this lecture is our secondary sometimes gives up certain things because the goal is for the defensive line to cause the pressure and hopefully make it easier on them. We put them on islands on occasions, and it's very hard to play corner. I don't care nobody say, it is the hardest position to play on the football field, period. They have no clue what's coming, and they have to guess the entire time. I got more to say on that, but I ain't going to say it on here. We'll talk about that offline, John. But that's the point. Hardest position.
It's really, really tough. And you're playing with really young players out there, and they're playing well. You know, Eli Bowen, he's just a sophomore. Cortland Guillory, he's a true freshman. Like, these are guys in their first and second year that are playing a lot of snaps for you at cornerback. And it's a lot of good. You're going to get some plays that don't go your way when you're playing against guys like Cam Coleman, who's a future top 10 pick in the NFL draft, or a Chris Brazel, who's also a guy that's going to be a first round draft pick, or coming up when you face Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard. Those guys are future first round picks. You're going to have some plays where they get you. That's just the way it goes. That's the nature of the beast. Shoot, I've seen Jalen Ramsey, the elite cornerback in the NFL, get beat by guys that are like wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3s on teams. Yep. It's just the nature of the position. Sometimes you're going to get beat. That's the way it goes. But it's a really solid group that's developing and getting better and better and better. And you got to love the potential and the ceiling for guys like Cortland Guillory because he's already playing good ball. And the coverage was not the issue this week. It was the tackling. It was the fundamental tackling that was the issue. His coverage was on point. When he was challenged in 50-50 situations, he came up big. The pass interference one,
that was terrible.
He got penalized because Joey Aguilar underthrew a ball because he was getting hit as he threw it. And that should also be considered in the same realm as uncatchable as an overthrown ball. There needs to be some look at that, but I don't blame him for that. If the ball goes further down the field, he's still in a good position to make a competitive play on the ball. He only gets penalized because the ball is getting underthrown. But I thought he played a really good game. I thought Eli Bowen, Jacoby Johnson played a good game. I thought Robert Spears-Jennings responded well after the first drive. I thought Peyton Bowen was physical, like maybe the most physical game that we've seen out of him.
Yep.
And I don't know if we've talked enough about how much the physicality that Oklahoma brought to the table, how much that slowed down Tennessee's rhythm and took them out of a rhythm because they had dudes that were getting banged up like crazy and stoppages of plays and things like that. And the secondary added to that. There were a number of times where wide receivers were down on the field for a minute and it took Tennessee out of their mojo, out of their rhythm, and they couldn't play up tempo because they were having to stop for injuries. Yeah. I think that played very much into Oklahoma's favor. But listen, is it a perfect secondary? No, but it's a secondary that's getting better all the time, and they're playing really competitive ball.
You know, it's funny you point that out, John. to play the physical game of football that y'all like, there will be collateral damage.
Mm-hmm.
And we notice whenever we play our opponents, they have a tendency of having dudes go down a lot more than us.
Yeah.
Knock on wood. Ain't that crazy? Ain't that just, is it a coinky dink is what I'm asking more so than anything. It's not. The offensive dudes end up going down. Why? Because our defensive dudes are physical, man. Like they're out there, they're dogs. They're out there to wreak havoc. David Sanders went down for a bit. They had another lineman go down. They had to swap out. They had to shuffle players because of how we were leveling folks, and we get back healthy. If our Mason comes back to himself against Bama, don't be surprised if you see some of them Bama players go down next game. It's not purposefully. It's just we go out there and we push them like crazy, and we're disruptive. That's what y'all wanted. The most disruptive defensive line in the country, period.
Yeah, and it works its way back to where the linebacker level, they play physical at the catch point. They're separating the ball from guys. The secondary is doing the same. They're separating the ball from guys. And there were, I think, 2 that I remember. Kip Lewis had one. Peyton Bowen had the other one, where a clean physical hit separates the receiver from the football and causes an incompletion. So you're not going to be perfect on the back end, especially with as much as Brent Venables likes to blitz and as much as he likes to play zone coverage. Good quarterbacks are going to be able, and good wide receivers will find soft spots in the zones. It's just a matter of your defense making more plays than their offense and being able to get off the field in key situations. And in the second half, they did a better job at that on third downs, getting off the field than they did in the first half. So again, it was a tale of two halves. And for as much yardage as Tennessee was putting on the board in the first half, they still only had 10 points.
That was what's crazy, John. You did all of that 200 and something yards of total offense to like 99, and you're still down 16-10.
Yep.
Again, if you're able to play sloppy play like that and still have the lead at the half and be able to close it out in the game, you can do just about anything.
Yeah, first half, 6 of 8 on third down. Second half, just 1 of 5 on third down. So, again.
Defense turns up in the second half. We've done it every year. We've done that all season long. Second half, this team has turned up so much better. The unfortunate thing is we didn't close against Ole Miss like we're supposed to, and we didn't show up in the second half on the offensive side of the ball against Texas.
Yep.
But for the most part, you did it.
Yeah, if this team can get a lead, they're really, really hard to beat because that defense makes it really, really difficult to score on them. And that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in and being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You can follow us on all your favorite social media platforms. You can follow Jay at Unfair Sports. Go check out his channel, Unfair Sports, over on YouTube. You can follow me at John 9 Williams and read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. Again, the show is at Locked On Sooners. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts over on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't done it yet. Hit the notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. And until next time, he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. We'll talk to you then. Boomer.
Sooner.
And once again, today's a great day to remind everybody to run the dang ball.